Good day, senior community. Well, we have a special guest that's going to share something really special that's going on. So I want you to pay attention to this one. Others, you could kind of like multitask, but put everything aside. So, Jonna, tell our viewers who you are, what you do, and who you serve, and then we'll get into the event on August the 1st.
Perfect. My name is Jona Payne. I am an elder advisor, and what I do is I help families find senior living and housing for independent, assisted, memory care, and personal care communities throughout the entire state of Georgia. I've been in the industry for 15 years and been doing placement for a little over 12 years. And this is my own company I've had. Next year will be our 10-year anniversary. So I've been to over 900 communities in person and pretty much can help in any way. There's a lot more said to that than I do, but that's the short.
Well, I'll tell our viewers one thing that I want coming from a different set of eyes. My buddy Rand Everhart is my golfing buddy. So when Rand needed somebody to help his in-laws, he called you. And I think, he can pick anybody in the city because he's been in the city, been in this business. He's at the Church of the Apostles, but he had a choice. And the fact he chose you to handle his situation speaks volumes. But I want you, yeah, I mean, it's really cool. He made the biggest putt I've ever seen in my life. So we have a story together and we played a number of times. So he kept telling me when I was doing podcasts, Pete, you got to come down here. And I go, wow, I'm busy podcasting. He goes, I don't care. Get down here. So I came and I went, wow, this is a very focused group on adding value to seniors. And it's the best group that I'm a part of. So I love it. And I love the focus and I love the education. And I know John, he's probably the funniest guy that I'm around. I mean,
it's true.
He's always cracking jokes and that
all the time.
I mean, it's just like keeps us entertained, and that's a skill. And
it really is.
It was cute. I mean, I'm not cute, but it was fun to watch when we were at the vendor meeting and you guys were dialoguing back and forth, talking. It's like, it was so much fun that the chemistry and the respect and the humor and just the fun that y'all have working together as you're on the board and he's the executive director. So let's get into, I want to first talk about your business.
Okay.
You said 900. That's a lot of communities. So share with our viewers, what does that mean for a person that might not understand the value that you bring?
Well, it's I tell people when they're in their search for senior living, it can be very similar as doing your taxes. Sure, you can do your taxes, you can sign up with TurboTax, you can be a low risk and file it and everything's fine. But if you hire someone that really knows what they're doing and you get an accountant, there might be things you don't even know that you qualify for, or that you've done wrong in the past, or that you could do better in the future, or that can help with the whole thing, so that when you file those taxes, confidently you did everything, where everything was crossed their T's and dot their I's. And so a lot of people, if they have a decent budget, they'll be able to find a decent community that will work out, but it doesn't mean that that's the right community for them. And there's a lot of hidden gems. The communities that have high visibility on the street, when you're driving by, or who have high dollars in online SEO marketing, those are who's going to really pay attention. That's only about 10, maybe 15% of the industry. Everybody else doesn't have that marketing budget, and they're word of mouth. I've been word of mouth. I'm on the ground. I go and tour with my families in person, but there's a lot of things people don't realize. I got a call from a gentleman the other day that said, well, why didn't you recommend this one place? It's the closest one to me. I said, they just lost their nurse, their director, and their salespeople. I don't even know who's taking care of their residents. And this was not a cheap place. This wasn't a most expensive, but it's middle of the range. And he's like, I didn't even realize that. And so it wasn't that it was a bad community. I work with that community. I'm a free service to families. And so families don't pay us. I'm not on commission either. So whenever I'm explaining something, I'm very, very interested in what's going on and what's custom to them, that's going to make sure that they're going to get the credibility. And, you can have great communities, but it really boils down to consistency with leadership and staff so that your loved one's going to get the best care. This is one of the largest, not only emotional decisions, but financial decisions that people make. And they just do it very flippantly or in a rush. Well, even if we've got to do things in a rush, we can still make that happen. And I can make moves happen within 24 to 48 hours. But sometimes we're pre-planning and we're a year or two out. Either way, no matter if we're making a decision in 24 hours or in a short period of time, we can do it confidently. And that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I love what you just shared with our viewers. We're in that YouTube generation where we can find solutions on YouTube, and we end up going to do things like that. And we lack the connection to relationships. Just like you said at the beginning, all of a sudden, this community that was good for whatever reason, there's that change in the leadership. And that goes from a community that's could really offer a great resource for a person to one that's in influx. And you're not going to find that on a website. You can't possibly. And we don't want to be led down the path of who has the biggest marketing budget, who's in the best real estate position on the street of anybody out there. That may or may not be your best option. You've got to go with professionals. And I know from my search, it's a maze out there. I mean, there's so much out there. It's like, it's overwhelming for the person that's trying to make, like you said, a very important decision. Where you're putting your mom and dad is not like going out to a restaurant. You have you're not bad meal. You don't go back to that restaurant. You put them in a facility, you sign a 1 year, 2 year, whatever contract, you're there. You can't just go, okay, we moved, now let's move out. It doesn't work that way. So tell me, like when you work with a client, what kind of things are coming up so our viewers can kind of get an idea how you're kind of solving problems plus putting their needs to the right opportunity and facilities out there?
That's a great question. I want to answer it a little bit different of a way that will be, I think, a visual for people that when they call, they have no clue. They might have a little bit of clue whenever they've done it for the first time, when they've done it with another family member. But I want to give you these two visual examples that will make sense. And I think this is how I start off every conversation. It's like when you're going to go to travel. So if you've ever gone to the airport, you're going out of the country and you go up to the currency exchange desk person and you say, I have $100. I want to get whatever I can with pesos. And the currency exchange desk person's like, all right, here, and gives you that money. You hop on a plane, you head over to London, you go to pay for something, and they're like, sorry, sir, we take pounds. And you're like, I knew it started with a P. Those things like Medicare, Medicaid, those different things, if you call and ask a nursing home, assisted living, a memory care community, whatever, they will give you that exact answer that fits with their type of community. They don't give you overall. Where the breakdown comes in is if you had just, that currency exchange desk person had stopped you and said, hey, I'm going to give you this $100 of pesos, but just want to make sure you're going to Mexico, right? Right there could have solved every single problem. And that's where a lot of these people get these things that happen is they just hear this. And I said, depending on when you Google what year and what state, all the rules and regulations are different and they change annually. So I give that first example. And then the other thing I give is that example that senior living communities are like hotels. So when you've got your government subsidized HUD housing, those are kind of like your Motel 8s. You have your entry level income, beginning stages of senior living. That's like your Holiday Inn and Hampton Inn. You have your mid-range. It's like your Hiltons and your Westons. You have your high end. That's your Ritz-Carlton and your St. Regis. You have your huge campuses that are independent, assisted, memory care, personal care homes. That's like your Sandals resorts. Then you have your small, locally owned and operated communities. That's like your Airbnb, your boutique hotels. And then you have your small personal care group home. That's like your Airbnbs. If you've stayed in any of that range, they're all different. but they all provide the same purpose. So you're making not only a healthcare choice, but a lifestyle choice, and helping family know, oh, so it doesn't mean that the most expensive is going to be the best or that I'm going to get the most care. Depending on your budget and depending on what's going on with your health, that may not be the right option, or it may be. Or if a new community opens up and your parent has a lot of high care needs, maybe a brand new community that's working out their kinks with finishing up the state regulations and inspections and hiring new staff and training, that may not be, and it's a brand new, beautiful community, but it might not be the right community for you. So I try to break it down at a level everybody can visualize and absorb, then fit that into that and figure out where they fit. Does mom feel she is owed a Ritz-Carlton in St. Regis, a community? My grandparents lived in the Depression era. They could have afforded that, but they didn't want to do that. They were very live below your means, and they'd want a Hampton Inn type of place. So every family is different, and when you have that visual mixed with, then we layer their health care needs, and then the budget, and then the location, we are able to figure out pretty much the top 2 or 3 places that they're going to be able to go.
I love that. Man, I'm a big proponent of visuals. Like, I now see the layers of the hotel industry, of the hospitality industry. And you're exactly right. You have to know what you're looking for and what you're wanting to get out of it, as opposed to the other. Let me ask you this question, because we have a big event coming up. You're 10 years in the industry. You've obviously formed a lot of relationships. There's so many things out there. Explain to our viewers why relationships matter, and what's coming up on the August the 1st, where they're going to have the resources to be able to handle a lot of their problems, needs in one place, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. So what it boils down to is friends help friends. And you only know what you don't know. And so going through this process and stage, you're wherever you are in that stage of life, you're usually surrounded by that same stage by your colleagues, your neighbors, and things like that, your kids' school, parents, and things like that. But I've been involved with ASCNN as a whole for about 12 years, and started serving on the board 6 years ago. And I noticed John needed help one day. I walked up and said, "Hey, do you need some help? You look a little frazzled." And he said, "You want to help?" I was like, "Yeah." So then the next thing I know, I had a quick lunch and I was on the board, and I've been on the board ever since. And so that's why you see that funny banter, because he's a long-term not only industry friend, but good friend. And so with this made whole, we actually, me and John and a couple of other people on the board, we have been planning this since the beginning of the year. We've gone to some senior resource fairs that just weren't done exactly right. It was just kind of, we have a table, let's fill you in. And so what we did was we tried to pick the cream of the crop of our senior living industry. Is very hard, because this is the first time we've ever done this. We only could accommodate 50 vendors. We had over 100 apply for this. And the sad thing is, most of them are our friends too. So it was really hard to make that choice. We had to make sure they've been in the industry for a long time, that they're reputable. We know how they follow up. And that was really hard decision. But the thing about these people is, this isn't their first rodeo. This isn't their first year in the senior living industry. So if you go up to a table and you don't even know what you're looking for, you're just, you're a stressed caregiver, you're taking care of your mom, you're taking care of your spouse, you don't even know what you look for. If you walk up to, a senior living community, but you're not ready to do that, and they say, "Oh, you should go talk to this person, they do adult daycare," or you're coming up and you're asking for home health, and what you mean is home care. What we've tried to do with this resource fair is make sure that everyone is connected to everyone. So no matter what table you go to, that we know who's who. And, they might be very nervous about what it's doing, but, they could say, "Hey, have you heard podcast Pete's things?" Maybe you can, from your home with your headphones on, when you're sitting with your caregiver, maybe he'll bring up the things you're scared to ask. Maybe listen to that first. Little things like that and tidbits that will really make sure that you understand. And we're having breakout sessions. We're having 50 vendors. It's free to the community. We're expecting anywhere from 700 to 1,500 people to attend the event. And we've with all of our powers combined of all of the 50 resources, we're really getting it out, and we're expecting a really great turnout. But most of all, about serving seniors and families that may or may not know what they're looking for, and to have a stress-free environment and a fun environment, whether they bring the person they're taking care of or they're just coming to learn and get resources.
Yes, I love that. Good, well explained. And I want to encourage our viewers to share this. If you know some senior facilities, it's up to us to share and get the word out. There's not a big time budget where you can plaster it all over the newspapers and put it on the TV ways. It's taking one individual sharing it with the senior community, where you can take a bus of your residents, bring them down so they're aware of what is out there. Because the worst thing is, I wish I would have known, that kind of comment. Like, that happens a lot because the industry is growing, and there's a lot of technologies, there are a lot of resources that are coming on, that if you knew that this could help serve your mom and dad, it could make aging in place a lot more comfortable or better for them. So the time is from 10 to 2, and it's on August the 1st. So share this with people you know in the community, and with people that would want to be there to be able to learn from all the different resources that are out there. So I want to thank you. Now, we're putting your information up here, so I hopefully I got it right. Is
Yes,
that right?
absolutely.
Okay. So if you just you like to make a phone call, call Jona at 770-336-7191. And if you're more comfortable with talking on the phone, call. That's what we want to do, is make it easy for you to know what your options out there. And I know you're not going to say this, but when you're just getting into senior living, you want somebody that knows a lot of people, because this one or two services that you're looking for, you don't Google it, because you're going to get somebody that paid a lot to get there. You don't know them from Adam. You want to go through a trusted person. And the trusted person is, hey, Jona, who do you know that does this? And then all of a sudden, her 10 plus years of relationship building, she's saying, well, here, I have a couple people that might be good for what you're needing a problem solved, or needing a service for that. So I know you have lots of things to do. It went over a little bit more than what we said, about 5 to 7 minutes, but I appreciate you sharing with our community, what you do, and the event Made Whole that's coming up next Thursday. So
and I want to just say one last thing that I tell every family that right when we hang up. The way you're feeling with stress and guilt, 100% normal. Everyone is feeling that. And with this Made Whole resource fair, you're going to be surrounded by a lot of people who are in your same boat that you can really lean on. And so come and meet me and Pete. He's going to be there. We're going to have a great event, and meet other people and get to know everybody. There's a lot of loving, caring people that are here to help.
I love it. I used to say, would you leave our viewers with one thing? You like read my mind. So that's so good. So thank you so much for taking the time to share with our community what's going on, and why they need to come down and meet you and see all the other vendors.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Thank you.
Good. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
I'm glad to have you on.
Great. Thank you.